Tonight, as we go to air, there is war again in Europe. Russia has invaded Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin, 5 hours ago, ordered his army to attack Ukraine, and reporters heard explosions and artillery within minutes on the eastern border, and reported missile attacks on Kiev airport and Ukrainian command centres. There are also unconfirmed reports of Russian troops landing near Odessa in an amphibious attack. So far, it seems Russia is firing missiles and shells, launching airstrikes. No confirmed sign yet of a major land invasion. But Ukraine's defences are being degraded. This military base in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city, is in flames. Now, Vladimir Putin said today he had ordered what he'd called a special military operation for the supposed demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, and warned Ukrainian soldiers to lay down their arms. But he also had a warning for the West. To anyone who would consider interfering from outside, if you do, you will face consequences greater than any you have faced in history. Putin's attack on Ukraine was preceded by cyber attacks on government agencies, plus malware attacks to knock out computers. And in so many ways, this looks like a rerun of something we've seen before, something terrible. I have this sick feeling that we are reliving the start of World War II, back when the world did nothing as Hitler first took over Austria, just as the world is doing nothing now. But first, to those of you who say Ukraine, that's nothing to do with us, you couldn't be more wrong. What you are watching could soon come to our own region. Eventually, who knows, to us. Russia is now a close ally of the Chinese dictatorship. They this month signed a joint pact that I warned you about, denouncing democracies and saying that the world order headed by the United States was over. This is like the Nazi Russian pact before World War II. China is now watching. If it sees Russia get away with this invasion on Ukraine, China knows it will get away with invading Taiwan in our region, which it also says is really part of its motherland. And after that, who's next? God save us all, and God save freedom. And we show you now live pictures of the panic in Ukraine. Cars fleeing Kiev, people just getting out, trying to find some safety. Let's hope they make it. The Beijing Winter Olympics, it's now wrapped up, but I don't know, I think it's left a bit of a bad taste. The Chinese dictatorship wanted these games to show the world that China was the new great power. It even flew in Russian President Vladimir Putin as its guest of honor to show the United States its new great alliance with a fellow tyrant. Now, the trouble is that China's bullying and its propaganda might work at home, but it seems to have backfired at the Games, where Western reporters were manhandled. In fact, the Foreign Correspondents Club in China issued a long list of complaints this week of reporters being bullied and harassed and censored and even followed by Chinese officials. The kind of treatment that to them sure exposed the steel fist inside that Olympic glove. Let's kick back and talk movies. One of the ways China is fighting the West is on the movie screen. And in this war, which is more important than many would think, Hollywood has sold you out. Have you noticed, for instance, that Hollywood now doesn't cast China or Chinese officials as the baddies in its big films? The last time it did was about 10 years ago in a film called Red Dawn, starring our own Chris Hemsworth. Now, this film was made to show how a confrontation could spin out of control and end up with Chinese troops invading the United States.
30 seconds left. Just get us in field goal range. 22.
The blackout may run along the entire northwest corridor.
What's going on?
We inherited our freedom. Now it's up to all of us to fight for it.
In fact, Hollywood didn't fight for American values in that film. It didn't even fight for the film. In fact, the studio MGM panicked. They got the word that China's dictatorship would ban this movie from showing in China, which today is the world's biggest film market. It could ban other MGM movies too for this insult to China. And so MGM changed the story, re-edited it. So there's now North Korea invading the US, which of course is an insane plot twist. MGM even hired digital artists to turn all the Chinese insignia on uniforms and on aeroplanes into North Korean ones. And even then, China still banned it. Another story. Why haven't you seen Richard Gere in a major film for years? I mean, this guy was a real star. Oh, yes, but he's also criticised China's brutal occupation of Tibet. And in 1997, starred in a film showing China's shocking justice system. A film about an American getting arrested there for a crime he did not commit.
In America, he would know his rights.
If you plead not guilty, you will be shot within a week, and the cost of the bullet will be billed to your family.
But here, justice doesn't translate.
No!
Chinese officials complained about this movie to the studio even before it was released and banned it from China. It also refused to cooperate with the studio and other projects. So goodbye, Richard Gere. Gere says Hollywood then shunned him and he had to work for independent filmmakers instead. All this and more is outlined in a new book, Red Carpet, Hollywood, China, and the Global Battle for Cultural Supremacy. But the upshot is this. Hollywood now is much more likely to make films and TV series that show America's politicians and intelligence agencies as villains and corrupt and evil and threatening than it ever will Chinese politicians and intelligence agencies. There is one female Liberal frontbencher who I do think fights, who isn't leaving it all to the blokes. It's lawyer Amanda Stoker, the Assistant Attorney General. She's the woman who last Friday confronted Green Senator Lydia Thorpe, who is, believe this or not, the Greens spokesman for justice, despite preaching the most toxic and divisive race hate that I have heard in our parliament. Just listen to how Lydia Thorpe, this Greens justice spokesperson, slipped into racist abuse last Friday to attack the Morrison government for paying $20 million to buy the rights of the Aboriginal flag from its Aboriginal inventor and two other Aboriginal businesses, so that it could be used by all for free.
The people I am bringing voice to in this place are very concerned that our flag has been colonised, given this is the colonisers' headquarters and they've just purchased our flag.
We have taken the flag from a situation where it was effectively being privately owned to a situation where, in accordance with the wishes of the Indigenous designer of the flag, it has been put in a position where it is safe, where it is available to all Indigenous Australians and indeed all Australians full stop.
I'm getting away from the flag, which is now Australian, and my next question is,
Just like all Indigenous people, Australian.
Sorry?
Or just like all Indigenous people, they are Australian. It's wonderful.
Really?
Yes. I think it's an uncontroversial proposition that Indigenous Australians are Australians, and that inviting all Australians... to be a part of it.
Order, Minister.
I'm being white-splained here.
I don't think that's a point of order,
I'm
Senator
being white-splained.
That is not a point of order.
I'm not going to be told by a white senator that I'm an Indigenous Australian. That is insulting.
Senator Thorpe, that is not a point of order.
Absolutely.
It might be best if you move on to your next question.
Okay. I'm a Gunai, Japarang, Brabralung, Gunditjmara woman.